Okay, we are going to talk about measures of central tendency, and this is basically, you probably had a lesson like this in the past. It's the lesson on the mean, median, and the mode, and we're going to learn how to calculate each one of those. And oftentimes these are called measures of center because they kind of measure where the center of the data is. Even though it's not always necessarily where the center of the data is. So a better way of thinking of measures of central, or measures of central tendency or measures of center, the best way to think about it is if you had a big data set and you had to represent all that data with a single number. So if you remember all these college tuitions and you had to represent it using a single number, what number would you choose? And so oftentimes I think the natural answer to that is the mean. You would pick the mean is the average value of the data set. So that is the first measure of center that we're going to look at, the mean. Okay, this is the average value of the data set. Okay, and the second one is the median. This is the middle value of the data set. So it's going to be a value where half of the data is below it and half of the data is above it. That's the median. And then there's the mode. And this is the value that occurs the most in the data set. So let's look at all three of these here with some examples. So let's see here. I'm going to get a little data set here. 3, 1, 7, 9, 4, 5, and 11. Okay, so that's my data set. So the mean is the average value in the data set. So the average is where you add them all up and then you divide by the number of values. So I take 3 plus 1 plus 7 plus 9 plus 4 plus 5 plus 11. So I'm going to add them all up, and then I'm going to divide by the number of values. And in this case, there's 7 values. Okay, so when you add these all up, you get 40 divided by 7. And that's going to give us our mean. So now the mean doesn't always come out evenly. Let's see, in this case, if I do 40 divided by 7, you see I get a repeating decimal here. So what you're going to do, if your data set is whole numbers like this, and the ones on your homework are whole numbers, then you're going to round to the 10th place. And whenever you round, you put these wavy lines here because that means approximately equal to 5.7. Okay, so if I have straight lines, that means it's exactly equal. But if you see the wavy lines, it means I rounded, in this case, to the nearest 10th place. Okay, so again, a quick reminder of rounding is if I'm going to round to the 10th place, I need to decide whether to round the 7 down to 7 or up to 8, and you use the next digit over to decide that. And in this case it's a 1, so if that digit is between 0 and 4, then you just round that down to 7. But if it's 5 to 9, then the 7 rounds up to an 8. Okay, in this case it rounded down to 7. So that would be the mean value for this data, 5.7. So for the median, this is the middle value of the data set. And so what you have to do is you have to put the data in order first, from least to greatest. So we have 1, and then I have a 3, and then I have 4, and then I have a 5, and then I have 7, and then 9, and then 11. Okay, and so now the data is in order from least to greatest, and then the median is just the value that lies in the middle. So in this case, the median would be 5. So I'll do MD for median, and the median is equal to 5. Okay, now you may be wondering, what if there's an even number of values in the data set? Then there wouldn't be a middle value. You would split it in half, and we'll see what we do in that case in the next example. Okay, so the median is 5. The middle value is 5. Okay, now what about the mode? This is the value that occurs the most, and I notice in this data set they all occur just once. And if that happens, then there's no mode. Okay, there would be no mode. So mean, median, and mode. The average value, the middle value, and the value that occurs the most. So let's try another one here. Okay, let's say I have the following data. So 4, 3, 13, 21, 17, and 3. Okay, so the mean is the average value. So I'll take 4 plus 3 plus 13 plus 21 plus 17 plus 3. And then there's 6 values, so I divide by 6. Okay, so this would be 7, and 13 would be 20. This would be another 20, so that would be 40, and then the 21 is 61 divided by 6. So 61 divided by 6 looks like that's approximately 10. Okay, and then I need to decide to round that 1 there. Do I round it down to 1 or up to 2? And it's based on the 6 next to it. And since that 6 is 5 or above, then I round that up to 2. So it's approximately 10.2 for my mean. Okay, for the median, I got to put the data in order. Okay, so it looks like I have a 3, another 3. So if it occurs more than once, you list them both times. 4, 13, 17, and 21. Okay, so now the data is in order. Now notice this has an even number of values in the data set, so I can split the data in half, and I'd have 3 here and 3 here, and there's no value left over to be in the middle. So in this case, what you do is you take the average of the 2 middle values. Okay, and if you take the average of 2 values, what you're doing is you're getting the value that's halfway between those 2 values. So the median is actually the number that's halfway between the 2 middle values in this case. So the median would be 4 plus 13 divided by 2. So this would be 17 divided by 2, and that would be 18.5. So my not 18, sorry, 8.5. So the median is 8.5. Okay. And then what about the mode? The mode in this case is going to be 3, because 3 occurs more than any other value. So that would be the mode in this case. Okay. So let me give you one more here. So let's see. Let's try this one here. Seven, 5, 1, 3, 1. Let's see here. 7 and 10. And then maybe let me do 2. Okay, I'm gonna let you try this one here. So what I would like you to do, go ahead, hit pause, and then see if you can find the mean, median, mode, and then we'll do them together. Okay, so now let's go ahead, we'll try this together. The mean, I'm going to add them together. So I'm going to add them all together, and it looks like there's 8 of them, so I'm going to divide by 8. So I'm going to use my calculator. 7 plus 5 plus 1 plus 3 plus 1 plus 7 plus 10 plus 2. And I get 27 divided by 8. And so I'm going to divide the answer by 8. And I get 3.375. So I'm going to take that 3 there. I'm going to round it up to 4 because the 7 there is between 5 and 9. So this is approximately 3.4. So that would be my median, or my mean. So now the median, I got to put the data in order. It looks like I got a 1, a 1, a 3, nope, a 2, and then a 3, then a 5, and a 7, a 7, and a 10. Okay, so now the median would be the middle value of the data set, and there's an even number of values, so I got to average the 2 middle values there. So that would be 3 plus 5 divided by 2. 8 divided by 2 is 4, and indeed 4 is halfway between the 3 and the 5. So that's the median. Now what about the mode? Okay, this isn't a trick question, but you see that the 1s occur twice and the 7s occur twice. So they both occur more than the other values, and so that means there's 2 modes. So the mode is 1 and 7. So you can have more than one mode. Okay, so there it is, the mean, median, and the mode. So in the next set of videos, we are going to learn how to calculate the range and the standard deviation.